Hi there. Put together a short video to introduce familiar concepts from biology, but with local, close to home examples. And these would be ideas about mutualism, commensalism, parasitism, close interspecies relationships, often some of them referred to as symbiotic relationships. So here we go. Okay, my first example here is a symbiotic relationship. Pardon the background traffic noise, I'm pretty close to a busy road. Center of your screen, those little black dots on the burdock leaf are aphids. And the ants that are buzzing around are referred to as herdsman ants. The aphids feed on the leaf. Out of their rear end, so to speak, they extrude a liquid called honeydew, which provides protein in the form of nourishment in the form of proteins and sugars to the ants that are tending these aphids. You can see the ants benefit from that relationship. The aphids benefit from this very active defense. You'll see what these ants are doing here. I've disturbed this plant. They're buzzing all around. There's a concentration of ants. See, one tried to run up my hand. There's a concentration of aphids right in here. And okay, I had to continue that because I didn't want ants all over myself. See, if I poke this open, the dark spot in the middle is a herd of aphids. And those aphids are going to be puncturing the leaf. They're feeding themselves, but they're also feeding the ants. The ants, in turn, are defending those aphids from any other predators that they might encounter. And in the most extreme cases, the aphids are raised in the ant colony, carried out to the appropriate leaf by the ants. See, I've really stirred this up like a hornet's nest. And placed on the species by the species of plant that the ants have chosen for those aphids to feed on. So very similar to humans who are going to raise cattle, lead them out into a pasture, let them feed, and then milk the cattle for their own use. So this is a symbiotic relationship. Even though you might think the ants are getting the better out of the deal, both species benefit. Okay, the next example is of parasitism. Here is a common garden pest, the tobacco hornworm caterpillar, which will metamorphose into a large moth shown here in this image. The moth will lay its eggs on appropriate food plants such as tomatoes, tobacco, pepper plants. And a common example of parasitism is when a braconid wasp lays its eggs on the caterpillar, and the eggs hatch, the larvae develop, emerge on the skin of the caterpillar as little cocoons to complete their life cycle. So let me give you a different example of parasitism as I look up into the canopy in this mixed oak and hickory stand of trees. And that is parasitism of plant on plant. And it's a little bit too dry and late in the year. It's mid-September, but what you see here is the remains of the fruiting part of a plant with many names: cancer root, squaw root, among others. And it's a parasitic plant. The above ground portion, here's some more, and it's all dried out and finished with. It grows down, and its roots contact the roots of generally oak trees, where they extract nutrients from the oaks. And so they're parasitic, and the above ground portion you see here never carries out any photosynthesis. So they're truly dependent on their host, a parasite of one plant upon another plant. The third category of symbiotic relationship is called commensalism. And I'm tracking a very thick grapevine up into the canopy. In all the biology textbooks, we typically see a picture of a whale with barnacles on its skin, and that's presented as an example of commensalism. That is, the barnacles benefit by having a surface on which to grow, and they're filter feeders, and the whale isn't really harmed by that. Here, again, a little bit closer to home, this might also be an example. This is an enormous grapevine, so it might become ultimately a burden on some of the tree branches where it grows up into the canopy. But on another level, we could just say this grape is benefiting from the tree by using it to climb up to where the sunlight is, so it can carry out photosynthesis and produce its fruit and reproduce. And the tree is relatively unaffected. So commensalism, one species benefits, the other is not affected.